Lori Loughlin and her husband Massimo's latest legal drama. The couple and more than a dozen others are now being charged with conspiring to commit fraud and money laundering in connection with the college admissions scandal. We've gotten reports that they could face up to 40 years in prison. And joining us now to help break it all down is criminal defense attorney Sara Azari. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So let's start first with this superseding indictment. Are those common? And maybe explain that
to us. So the superseding indictment, I think this has been a misnomer in the media. It's actually not superseding. A superseding indictment follows an indictment. In this case, there was a criminal complaint. It was the initial charging document, which charged these parents with mail fraud and honest mail fraud. And then the prosecutors basically used a carrot and stick approach, right? So they said, look, you can take the carrot and plead guilty to the complaint, and we'll give you, a break in your sentence, or we will punish you with a stick and indict you. And once we send the case to grand jury indictment, we're going to include whatever, every charge in the kitchen sink that applies here. So money laundering, that's how the money laundering came about. So initially you had a criminal complaint, then it went to grand jury on the people that did not plead guilty on the complaint, and now those people are facing the additional charge.
So you think they knew exactly what was going to happen?
Absolutely. I think the prosecutors were honest. They were not puffing. They were like, look, you want the carrot or you want the stick? I mean, that's
so. Why would Lori and Massimo and all of the others not take the guilty plea, the carrot?
Right. Look, sometimes, I'm assuming their lawyers are advising them that way. It's a little bit perplexing to me because I handle these white-collar cases. I defend them. And looking at this, if the evidence is actually what we've been told it is, which payment, copy of the check for $500,000 or credit card or however they paid, emails between her and her husband and Singer. I mean, this is a pretty airtight case in terms of evidence. So it's a little bit perplexing to me as to where they're headed with this. Do they really think they're going to go to trial and win? Because now with the money laundering, she's facing more time. She was offered 2 years and she turned it down. She told the prosecutors to take a hike, right?
Take the 2 years, Aunt Becky.
Crazy. We've been debating about this for a few days, and you've worked in this industry for a very long time. A lot of people on this panel think that because Aunt Becky is walking in and she has a smile on her face and she's shaking hands and kissing babies is going to make a difference in her sentencing. Is that going to make a difference? Will people say, oh, she's not taking this serious enough?
I think, it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
She's walking in really chill, so to speak, right? And it sort of conveys, well, this is what it is. I got this. I'll handle this. It's all going to be good at the end of the day, right? On the other hand, it could convey that she's not taking it seriously and that she really should have sat down with her lawyers and looked at where this is headed and understood that, like the other defendants who pled, that might have been a better deal for her. Again, I sit here, I don't know all the evidence. I just know what we all know in the media. But it appears to me like there's ample evidence to find her guilty if she went to trial. So I'm not sure what she thinks she's getting that would be better than the 2 years originally offered to her.
Do you feel like there's a part of her that feels like she can pay her way out of this in some way?
No.
There's no way that could ever happen.
I think that attitude is done.
I sure hope so. She's like, are you sure I have a check for you if you want one? I have a lot of money.
Correct.
Well, maybe that, I don't know. I think it's a fair question. No, I think it's a fair question because she's probably paid her way out of trouble.
Well, that has been a pattern, right? That's this sort of, I'm invincible. If I can write a check for anything. If
I can get my daughters into school.
This is probably kind of, the end to all that pattern. But you mentioned the 40 years. They're not going to get 40 years. Nobody in this case is going to get the maximum under the statute.
What do you think the maximum amount of time they can get is?
Well, look, the federal guidelines, which is sort of like a sentencing chart, is what dictates their sentence. The prosecutors have been adhering to that pretty strictly, looking at the dollar amount. So Felicity's $15,000 versus Lori's $500,000. That's what dictates the exposure in terms of sentencing. And so at the end of the day, though, when they go before a sentencing judge, all the good they've done in their life, the philanthropy, the community service, the helping others, whatever they've done, lack of criminal history, all of that will come into play in their favor, and they'll get time that is fair according to all those things considered. But, Felicity being, she's got a 4 to 10 month sentence after her plea agreement. she's much closer to the probation world, right? She's closer to the supervised release range. And even she, I believe, will get some kind of a symbolic sentence.
You think
right?
they'll see in the inside of a jail?
Yeah, she will.
Do you think
4 months?
No. Do you think that she will see the inside of a
Well,
jail?
the judge has discretion to even go less than 4 months. He can go below, he can go above. In this case, I think the judge is going to, again, I'm speculating, but I believe the judge is going to sentence everybody to some amount of time according to the range that they face in their plea agreement. And however, you can get very creative with that. You can put them on home confinement. You can put them on ankle monitors. You can tell them to split the time, half in prison, half at home. So there's a lot of creative ways to fashion that sentence where they're not actually behind bars. And by the way, it's a white collar case. They go to a big house. It's like a country club.
Yeah, but I've seen the inside. I've seen the inside of Martha Stewart's jail cell.
It's not LA County Jail. Okay?
Yeah.
So, do you think that Lori and Massimo will likely get the same sentencing? Or do you think that it could be possible that one will get a longer sentence than the other?
That's a very interesting question because I've represented husbands and wives, siblings, people that are related, and they kind of cut them a break. Usually, especially if they have kids, responsibilities, a household, etc. They're not going to throw both people in the slammer at the same time. Sometimes they say, "Okay, you serve your sentence first. Once you get out, you go."
It's like Joe and Teresa.
Yeah, so they stagger it. Sometimes they'll say, we will give you supervised release and we'll send the more culpable of the spouses to prison.
And out of the two, it's Lori. I was going to say that.
I mean,
right?
Didn't the dad take the pictures on the rowing machine?
How can I not get rid of my acne and they got something on a rowing machine?
Like, honey, can you just take this one?
And just like make my arm half the size. I don't get
Those
it.
girls can definitely not claim they didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be like, Dad, why are you taking these pictures of me on the rowing machine? I mean,
A Christmas card photo.
Right.
Thank you
We're going to
so
Lake
much for
Tahoe.
joining
Thank you, guys.
us.
It was
We
a pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank you
You
so
gave us
much.
so much insight.